Margaret Pommert is a woman sailing advocate based in the Seattle area. She is an American Sailing Association and U.S. Sailing certified instructor. She teaches women-focused sailing classes at a variety of locations around the Pacific Northwest. One of the nation's largest sailing schools named her 2019 Instructor of the Year. Margaret also writes a monthly onboard Northwest Yachting magazine column for women boaters. Welcome, Margaret.
Thank you very much. My name is Margaret Pommert. So this is my home. I am from the Puget Sound area of the Pacific Northwest. This is my home both in terms of physically where I live, but also kind of my spiritual home for being on the water. We live in one of the most beautiful cruising grounds in the world. This is where I'm coming from today spiritually, though like all of you, I'm actually here inside, but my heart's out there on the water. I am a sailing instructor. As the introduction mentioned, I teach a number of different places in the Pacific Northwest. What I mainly do during the summer is teach live-aboard style classes in the San Juan Islands. Live-aboard classes meaning that I go out with a group of students for a week and we live together on the boat, basically 24/7, sailing and exploring and cooking together and enjoying time on the water. So I love what I do because I love getting people on the water. I teach a lot of all women's classes, but I also teach co-ed classes as well. The next picture shows, what it can look like when out with a group of students out exploring. So the particular story I'm going to tell is a situation where it was actually a private sailing class. So I do these every once in a while. The situation was that a family had chartered a boat for a week, and they wanted a skipper to go along with them for the first couple of days, just until they got comfortable with the boat. And also, while the skipper was familiar with sailing, the other three on board were newer sailors and wanted some certifications. So we were out sailing and exploring. It was supposed to be just for a couple of days, but then they asked if I could stay a third day and a fourth day. The next picture shows this is what it's like on board. This is what it's like on board. So the students have cabins to themselves, and then I sleep there on the settee in the salon. So that works for me. I've been doing it for years, and I'm very comfortable doing that. And I'm lucky to be able to teach on a variety of lovely boats, monohulls and catamarans, enjoying being out together. We were out on our trip, and again, the students asked if I could stay with them for a fourth day. The challenge of staying a fourth day with them is answering the question of how would I get back to my car and how would I get back to port, because they were going to be out in the San Juan Islands. So I had an idea, and that idea was I knew that San Juan Airlines is basically a charter airline company, but they will stop at various islands around the San Juan Islands. And I knew that there was a private island near a spot that had very good wind for us to practice sailing on our last day. So I had the idea that I'd call San Juan Airlines and see if they could, if I could get a flight out that evening from that private island to go back home. So I called San Juan Airlines and they said, yeah, we could do that. So I said, okay, I'll call you back. And I talked to my students and they said that would work great. So I called San Juan Airlines back and said I'd like to confirm that reservation. And the person who answered, which is a different person than the first one I talked to, said, well, you already have a confirmed reservation for this evening. I thought that was a little strange, but I figured, okay, so I'm all set. We went to this island. Again, so this island it's privately owned. And while there's a dock there and there is a private airstrip, the rest of the island is privately owned and not open to people. There's no hotel or anything like that. The Washington State Ferry doesn't stop on the island. So really the only way on or off of the island is either by boat or by private airplane on that landing strip. This is a picture of the island. You see the little blue arrow is where the dock is, and then to the right is where the landing strip is. You can see the landing strip from the dock and vice versa. So we came in and docked. I walked the 8 minutes from the dock over to the landing strip, and 3 of the students walked over with me. But as we were walking over, I noticed on my phone that I'd missed a telephone call. And I saw that the call was from San Juan Airlines. And at that point, my spidey sense was kind of tingling. It's like, why would San Juan Airlines be calling me? So I said to the three students, I said, in case that was San Juan Airlines calling to say that there might be an issue, I'm concerned because I don't have cell phone reception here. If they called and there may be a problem and they won't pick me up, you can see the plane landing strip there. In fact, they all walked me over to it. The three of them did. I said, please don't leave until you see a plane take off from that landing strip. And you can already, I'm sure, see where this story is going. You can see the landing strip. Please don't leave. Please don't depart on the boat until you see a plane take off. So I was there standing at on the landing strip, watching, looking down at the dock, and I noticed that my students who were getting ready to go practice, we'd been practicing docking all day. So I watched them untie the dock lines, depart from the dock, and I was like, good, they're making good use of this time. They're going to practice their docking while they wait to see that the plane's going to come and pick me up. And I noticed that they were getting further and further away from the dock. And it's like, they don't really have to go that far away from the dock to practice their docking. Slowly, the little light bulb went on over my head, and I realized that they were leaving. So this was what it looked like, to see the boat pulling away from the dock. And I'm there on the landing strip. Of course, I was shouting and waving my arms, but they weren't looking back over their shoulder because, again, I had no way off the island. There was no ferry. And by that point, I was realizing that the plane was not coming for me. So while that's what it looked like in real life, what it really looked like at that point to me was the next picture. That's what it felt like. I felt like I was, there at the bottom of a glacier with them departing in the distance because, it was summer. It was August, perfectly safe. The biggest predator there on the island, I think, was probably a raccoon. But at that point, I really felt like I'd kind of just been cast away as they took off in the boat. I realized that I might be there for a while. So there are private homes on the island. I walked around until I saw a family out in their yard enjoying a barbecue. And I asked if I could use their phone to make a couple telephone calls. And they kindly agreed. And I tried to call the students, but of course they were also out of cell phone reception. And I tried to call San Juan Airlines and got their answering machine. At this point, some of my friends have asked, well, why didn't you ask the family if you could spend the night in their home? Well, it was my problem. It wasn't their problem. So I didn't ask strangers to let me stay at their home. Instead, I went down to the dock and lay down on the dock, hoping that maybe another boat might come by that evening that I could hop on. But another boat didn't come by that evening. But it was August, and I happened to be out there during the Perseid meteor showers. So it was a great time to see the Perseid meteor showers. And I woke up in the morning to a seagull looking in my face. Yeah, so I must say that being stranded on an island, a private island, on a clear night, is a beautiful time to do some stargazing. So in the morning, the plane came, and I was able to fly out the next morning after spending the night sleeping rough on the island. And when I finally was able to get the messages off my cell phone, there was a message from the students. And the message from the students said, Captain Margaret, we didn't see a plane take off, and so we're assuming you're okay, and we're leaving right now. Of course, then when I discussed it later with my older brother, who used to be a mountain climbing instructor, he says, well, now, Margaret, did you test for understanding when you told them what to do there? And I didn't, and it was my own fault. I didn't test to make sure that they understood what I understood so clearly. I realized I'm someone who's very comfortable being alone. And being on the island alone at night, I wasn't afraid. I wasn't really that uncomfortable, but I was tired, and I actually slept quite well. But what I realized from that experience is that having the sense that I'd not been heard really made me feel alone. And the whole concept of feeling alone, and so making that connection in my head, that was the summary of my alone experience to share with you. So thank you, everyone.